This was my first visit to Grover's Bend. And if things didn't turn out just right, it might be my last. I was keeping an appointment with a gunslinger who hated me. And I guess he had reason to. You seldom make close friends by sending people to jail. And Mort Phillips had just finished serving 5 years. Compliments of yours truly. My name's Slade. Where can I find Mort Phillips?
Slade. It's been a long time. Over 5 years. For me, it's been a lifetime. My life ended in that prison. They might just as well have buried me as to let me out again.
Considering how many notches you had on your gun, Mort, I'd say you got off easy.
Gunfighting was my business. It was all I ever knew.
And now you figure you're going to start all over again. Right where you left off, huh, with me.
I figured you'd come when you got the word.
I outshot you once before, Mort. Now, what makes you think I can't do it again?
Not this time you won't.
Don't think because you got a gun under that table that you've got any advantage.
I've got another kind of advantage, Slade. They took it off in prison. Blood poisoning from a shotgun wound. My right hand.
That's too bad.
Yeah. That's too bad. But don't think because I'm not carrying a gun, you aren't going to be just as dead. Billy. Meet Billy Rigg, my new right hand, and a faster, better man with a gun than I ever was.
Now you think you're going to have this boy do your shootout for you, huh?
You get the idea.
Well, I'm sorry, Mort. I'm just not in the habit of killing children.
You've got no choice, Slade. But not with that shotgun. We've got a real gun for you. All cleaned and oiled. Blake? Go on. Put it on. You know, it's a funny thing, Slade. Watching Billy shoot, I get the notion that the ghost of my own hand had got into him. Working the fingers, snapping up the wrist.
Now, just why are you willing to do this, boy?
Because Mort Phillips is my friend. Because I think you got it coming. It's your first move, Mr. Slade. I'll make the last one.
Touch your gun, Slade, and you're a dead man. That goes for everybody. Mr. Slade is under arrest.
You're not the law here, Lydia.
Well, I'm not just wearing this badge to see the light bounce off it. And I'm not carrying this Winchester to keep my arms from getting short. Drop that gun, Belton. Start walking, mister.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know why I'm under arrest, but it certainly is a welcome change.
Leave it alone. I'll bring it. In case you're interested, the Citizens Committee voted last night to have you and your hoodlum gang run out of town.
It's going to take a lot more than votes to do that. There's not one fighting man in the whole bunch.
Maybe that's been changed. Straight to the jail, Mr. Slade. Daddy, this is Mr. Slade. My father, Marshal Prescott.
How do you do, sir?
Daddy got a bullet in the leg trying to interfere with Mort Phillips.
Was that when he made you a deputy? Don't blame that on me. She pinned that badge on herself.
It was partly a bluff, but we knew that Mort Phillips would have Billy Rigg gun you down. And we needed you.
We?
The Citizens Committee. We had to organize to try and stop Mort Phillips and his gang.
It's still a vigilante movement and outside the law.
So's Mort Phillips outside the law. We're only fighting fire with fire.
Will somebody please tell me what's going on around here?
We want you to investigate Mort Phillips.
What's there to investigate? Nothing but an ex-gunslinger with a prison record. And a grudge against the world.
You know why Mort Phillips came to Grover's Bend in the first place, Mr. Slade?
Oh, I don't.
This town was founded by a man named Benjamin Harris. He was a very kind and generous man who built up this community. When he died, he gave his property to those who helped build this town. Joshua Tanner, for instance. Josh's general store is on land that originally belonged to Ben Harris.
Not only me, Mr. Slade. Half the folks here are on land that once was Ben's.
Then, 2 months ago, Mort Phillips came to town claiming that his real name was James Harris, that he was the brother of Ben.
Did he have any proof?
Some old letters, correspondence between Ben Harris and his brother, dated many years prior to Ben's death.
Phillips claims them letters give him title to the property.
That sounds like a decision for a court to make.
Mort Phillips won't wait for a court decision. He says he knows he's within his rights in taking over the property.
With the help of a gang and a gunslinger, huh?
Exactly.
That sounds to me like Mort Phillips is afraid that the courts won't see things his way.
Mr. Slade, when we heard that you were on your way here, the committee voted funds. 500 now and 500 after the job is done.
What happens if Mort Phillips turns out to really be Jim Harris?
We're willing to take that chance.
I'm willing to take the job. You may not be here to collect the other 5, Mr. Slade. What about Billy Rigg? I'll take care of Billy Rigg. Without a gun. Any investigation starts with all the information you can get. And information is where you find it. Most people in Grover's Bend were willing to talk about the late Ben Harris. But when the subject got around to Mort Phillips and his claim that he was Ben's long-lost brother, some of the less courageous wouldn't say a word. Some information would have to be dug up a long way from Grover's Bend. But thanks to a New England inventor named Samuel Morse, this was going to be possible.
Go ahead.
Waco tells me that Slade's going all over town asking questions.
Maybe it's time he got something besides answers.
He's not backing a gun. Would that make any difference?
You never shot down an unarmed man, Mr. Phillips?
Oh, no, of course not. Maybe it's time that we taught Mr. Slade it'd be a good idea to carry a gun sometimes, huh?
Mr. Slade.
I want to thank you for your part in helping arrest me this morning.
The credit all goes to Lydia Prescott for that. So,
Thanks.
now there's a woman who would make a great newspaper man. What can I do for you, Mr. Slade?
I wonder if you could tell me, who knew Ben Harris's brother James?
Nobody.
You mean he never existed?
No, I don't mean that, Mr. Slade. When Ben Harris settled here, his brother James was in the East somewhere. I knew Ben had a brother. He had me witness a legal document once. It had to do with the sale of some property in St. Louis, and James's signature was on it. I got the impression at the time that James was a sort of a black sheep of the family.
Are there any examples of James Harris's signature available now?
Oh, yes. I was executor of the Harris estate. And there are several letters from James Harris among Ben's effects.
Has any attempt been made to compare them with samples of Mort Phillips' handwriting?
What handwriting? Mr. Phillips has conveniently traded his right hand for a hook.
Yes. Well, thanks very much for your help, sir. Oh, by the way, is there any chance of my seeing copies of the James Harris's letters?
Well, they're in the safety deposit box at the bank. Be glad to show them to you anytime.
I'll know by this time tomorrow. That'll be necessary. You sure been out a long time.
I'm worried, Daddy.
You're doing just fine, ma'am. Don't worry.
You've been playing possum.
Oh, no, ma'am. Possum wouldn't get treatment like this. Oh.
Serves you right for scaring me half to death.
Hey, what time is it?
It's almost 5 o'clock. Mr. Slade, we have no right to ask you to get mixed up in all of this.
You have every right to. It's my business. It's the way I make my living.
All the money in the world's not worth getting killed for.
It's sure nice to know that somebody cares. Thanks. Lydia.
Keep the 500. Leave town tonight. I'll explain it to the committee. Nobody could blame you.
You're not suggesting that I run out on Billy Rigg, are you?
I don't want him to kill you.
Supposing I kill him, Lydia.
No, you couldn't. I mean, he's too fast a gun, and nobody could stand up against him.
You know, it just came to me that you might have had another reason for stopping that shootout this morning.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Look at me. Don't you know? If it's humanly possible, Lydia, I promise you, I'll try not to kill him. Get your hands up, Billy boy, and don't turn around.
What's your game, Slade?
I don't play games, son. I work. And right now, you're part of my job. Well, nice balance here. And what do you know? No notches. What's the matter, boy? Haven't you been earning your keep? Or hasn't Mort Phillips asked you to gun down anybody else but me yet?
Get to the point. What do you want?
All right. How long have you known Mort? 1, 5, 10 years?
I've known him long before you framed him for that holdup and got him sent to jail. But you were scared of him, Slade. That's why you ruined his hand.
He must have been just a kid then. I can see how a gunslinger like Mort Phillips could make quite an impression on a kid.
He saved my life.
That's what I've heard.
Maybe that don't mean anything to you, Slade. But Mort Phillips gunned down a wild, drunken bullwhacker who was beat me to a pulp with his whip.
Yes, and I can see how you could be very grateful for that. But tell me something. Was killing that wild, drunken bullwhacker the only way you could have stopped him?
No use running Mort Phillips down, Slade. I know him, and I know you.
Now listen. Supposing I can prove to you that Mort Phillips is a phony. A yellow-bellied coward that hasn't got the nerve to shoot an old lady, even in the back.
You're the one who's lost his nerve, Slade. You're crawling to get out of a gunfight you got no stomach for.
You're right about that last part. I sure got no stomach for it. But listen, do you really believe that Lydia Prescott and the good citizens of this town are trying to cheat Mort Phillips out of something that belongs to him?
Of course they are. This whole town practically stole that property from Mort's brother.
Now, supposing I can prove to you that the real Jim Harris died 6 years ago with one of Mort's bullets in him.
Mort wouldn't lie to me. If he says he's Jim Harris, that's good enough for me.
You're in for some shocks and surprises, Billy boy. Shocks and surprises. Incidentally, does Mort know you're seeing Lydia Prescott on the sly?
Did she tell you that?
Not in so many words. Watch out for her, Billy. A woman like that can take the teeth out of a gunfighter. Any of them. Here. Don't use that unless you've thought about it for a long time. Easy does it, boys. I'm unarmed. Tell your men to get out, Mort. I want to talk with you.
All right, man. What makes you so sure you're not asking for another beating?
No, Mort. Only as the last resort. I got you figured out.
So?
So seeing Billy Rigg gun me down means more to you than all the loot you could take out of Grover's Bend.
Next best thing to killing you myself.
That's why I don't think you're going to have one of your muscle-brained men shoot me when I'm not looking.
You shoot it out with Billy Rigg, I don't think you won't catch a bullet in the back. Might not be as much fun, but you'll be dead just the same.
You know, I'm going to blow the whistle on all your phony claims to this town, Mort.
I'm not worried.
Jim Harris was killed in a train holdup. Among his personal effects was a case containing some legal documents and some correspondence.
You found out quite a lot already, haven't you?
That's right. And by tomorrow afternoon, I hope to find out whether or not you were among the gang that held up that train.
By tomorrow afternoon, you'll be dead. One way or another.
I'll up the ante, Mort. Let's make it 12 noon. Now, you tell Billy Rigg I'll be waiting for him outside that telegraph office. And tell him this time I won't let anything interfere.
I'll tell him.
By mid-morning next day, the whole town seemed to know about my date with Billy Rigg at high noon. There was one person in Grover's Bend that the news upset more than anyone.
Lydia.
Is it true?
Lady, it's gonna be all right. I can't lose.
You can't lose. What happens to you after you've killed Slade? You mustn't go through with it, Billy.
I have to. You don't understand. It's a point of honor. I owe this to Mort Phillips.
You owe him nothing. What about yourself? Us?
It won't change anything. Why does it have to?
Because you'll have killed a man. A man whom you have nothing against personally. Doesn't that mean anything to you?
It does when I think about it. But then, I remember what that man did to Mort Phillips. And it makes it easy.
For the last time, Billy.
I'm sorry, Lydia.
And for your sake, I hope Slade is faster.
By 10 minutes to 12, Grover's Bend was beginning to feel like a bomb about to explode. Word must have even reached out of town. For about now, riders from the outlying ranches were beginning to show up. If I'd gone to the telegraph office once that morning, I'd been there a dozen times. But the one bit of information I was counting on to blow this thing wide open had still not arrived.
Slade!
Now, take it easy, Lydia. Hang on to yourself. Nothing's happened yet.
He'll be here any minute now. It's almost noon.
Whatever happens, don't you try to stop it, do you hear? At 1 minute before 12, Mort Phillips came out to see the show. He wanted to make sure he had a grandstand seat. Seconds later, Billy Rigg walked out of the hotel into the middle of the street. Billy had it so firmly entrenched in his mind that he was Mort Phillips' right hand and duty-bound to settle a score for Phillips, that nothing short of a miracle would stop him now. The miracle came, and it came in the form of the message I've been waiting for. A message brought by thin strands of wire across 1,000 miles of wilderness. Just words, but they saved Billy Rigg from himself. Mr. Eckhart?
Well, I'll be...
Show it to Billy Rigg.
Yeah. Billy, this is something you've got to see yourself.
It's some kind of a trick. I don't believe it. This isn't true.
Supposing we find out, Billy.
Mr. Phillips, Slade's had some kind of message sent to him. It's supposed to be from the prison where you were.
I reckon he's just showing his color again, Billy. Anything to keep from getting what's coming to you, Slade?
It says you never had any operation while you were in prison. That when you left there, you had both hands.
Both of them, huh? What do you call this, Slade? Does that look like a hand to you?
It looks like a hook strapped over a hand to me, Mort. Just what I thought. He only had one practical reason for this hook, Billy. It kept him from having to duplicate Jim Harris's handwriting, but he had another reason, a real one. When Mort Phillips left prison, he had all the cynical hatred of a killer. But he just lost his nerve.
Billy. Billy, come back.
I don't think you'll have any more trouble with Phillips, Mr. Eckhart. I guess you won't have to pretend anymore, Phillips. Let's go.
Bob Terry, and thanks for joining us for another free episode here online of the Shotgun Slade Western television show starring Scott Brady. This is more of an adult type Western. It's a fine Western for the family, but it's a more grown-up type Western than a lot of the Westerns that were going on at the time. So you grown-ups may enjoy it a little bit more than, some of what's considered the kiddie Westerns. But the Shotgun Slade show is brought to you here free by Wild West Toys. And you can shop with Wild West Toys online at www.toyguntown.com. And remember, if you're looking for hundreds of free Western television shows here on the internet that you can watch pretty well anywhere you go, come and see us at www.westernsontheweb.com. Now here comes Shotgun Slade. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you after the show.
Welcome to my home. I was beginning to think you had forgotten me. You brought the money? Why you do not speak? You promised money for my silence. One does not lightly make a promise. A gun? You do not need a gun to make sure of my discretion. I have given my word. Once you pay the money, nothing would make me talk. Please. We will forget the money. It was a little joke between us. If you do not want me to talk, you can be sure of my silence. Please. Please. No.
La Paloma, New Mexico territory is a long way from Denver. There are only two things could have brought me here. A woman or money. Well, this trip combines them both, so what can I lose? There are retainers in my pocket, but I still have to meet my client. She has the highly improbable name of Donna Juanita Capistrano. If Donna's as romantic as her name, the money will look even sweeter. For value received, I promised to pay Antonio Lopez $5,000. L.B. Newton. This is worth anything. Old Antonio didn't die broke. Suddenly, I felt a draft on my back, like someone watching me.
Mario. This is a private house, senor. You have business here?
Well, if your name is Donna Juanita Capistrano, I do. My name is Slade.
I see you had no difficulty finding the home of my servant, senor
Look,
Slade.
if you'll just put that iron down, madam. Is this your husband?
Doña Juanita has no husband.
This is Mario Gallegos. He has comforted me in my darkest hour.
Well, now, I'll bet he has. Well, it's nice work if you can get it, Mario. Did you kill him?
It was to my advantage that he stay alive, amigo. His name is Lopez. He was a friend to us both.
He's been dead for about 8 hours. And where were you about 8 hours ago?
With Donna Juanita.
Uh-huh. And where was Donna Juanita?
With Mario, of course.
Of course. I see you both have a nice alibi.
Mario, you better notify the marshal.
Muy bien. Adios, Senor Slade.
Well, you like what you see?
See.
You know, I certainly didn't expect to run into anything like you here in La Paloma.
That makes us both happy.
Oh, really? You know, as the bankers say, business before pleasure. Just what's going on around here?
One does not make either love or business in the presence of death, senor. There's not much time, and there's much to be settled between us. Come.
Just what is it you want from me, anyway?
My letter did not explain enough?
Oh, just that you were connected with some syndicate selling shares in an old land grant.
See. The original grant was given to my family by the Mexican government in 1834. The papers were lost. When you Americanos took over, the rancho passed into the hands of strangers.
Uh-huh. And you're suing to recover title, huh?
2 million acres. Lawyers cost money, and I have none. So a syndicate has been formed. Those who buy shares to help pay the legal expenses will one day be of great wealth.
Well, that's a real long shot. Possession's 9 points of the law, you know.
I will have what is mine, and those who join me will share my good fortune.
I've heard about these schemes before. The only one that ever gets rich is the promoter, and he's usually a crook.
Do not say that, senor. There is no crookedness done in my name.
Well, maybe none that you know about. Who's behind you, anyway? Someone very likely heard about this old land grant. Looked you up and started the ball rolling.
Check the body. Morning, Donna Juanita.
Buenos dias.
I just got word Angelo Lopez has been murdered. What do you know about it, stranger?
Not a thing, Marshal.
Well, you're a stranger here. A man's found dead. There's bound to be some connection.
No connection. My name's Slade. I'm a detective.
What are you doing in La Paloma?
I'm, just riding through.
What's your business here?
Like I told you, Marshal, I'm just riding through.
Mind your manners, amigo. When I ask a question, I want a civil answer.
Please, Marshal.
Stay out of this. The man's dead. There's been too many killings around here lately. All right, Ben, search him. So, he's working for the syndicate, huh?
No, senor, no.
Maybe you can give me some answers. What about this paper?
What about it?
Who's L.B. Newton?
Never heard of him.
There's folks around here who'd pay plenty to find out who Newton is. Who's L.B. Newton? Who hired you? You know, I heard about you, Slade. You don't saddle up unless there's plenty of dinero on the line. You'd better not try to leave town. All right, boys.
All right. Now, I kept quiet. Now, you talk. Who is L.B. Newton?
The head of the syndicate.
Where is he?
I do not know.
Now, stop playing games. You're in this with him. You gotta know.
Always I ask myself the same question, which is why I sent for you. I have never seen him, Senor Slade.
What are you trying to give me?
I speak the truth.
If you've never seen him, how do you deliver the money that you collect? How did he get in touch with you in the first place?
By mail, as I got in touch with you.
Well, what's the big mystery for? Why is he so afraid to show his face?
That you must find out for me.
All right. That land grant deal feels like a vicious swindle. The victims wishing for the rainbow and ending up with nothing. You can't help but feel sorry for them. Poor folks with no present and the future behind them. They're probably kicking in a couple of dollars a week to the syndicate and dreaming of collecting thousands when L.B. Newton wins his lawsuit. There's something else that's rotten in La Paloma. Donna, Juanita, and Mario were all lovey-dovey last time they were together. Now she's giving him the old cold shoulder. Why?
You still don't want to answer any questions?
Maybe you'd like to try to answer a couple.
Depends on what they are.
Well, that's syndicate for one thing. L.B. Newton and Donna Juanita, how big is this swindle?
That runs into big numbers. Half the folks in this territory outside of the big landowners are kicking in regular. There's a federal warrant out for Newton, but he's gone.
Think he skipped?
Wouldn't you?
Well, it depends. If the suckers had been milked dry, I would. But if there's still easy money around, I'd keep my hand in.
Which is what LB's done. Funny part is, no one's been able to identify him. When the U.S. Marshal tried to serve a warrant, there wasn't a single soul around here to admit to ever having seen Newton.
Well, maybe he just asked the wrong people. I think I'll start with the undertaker. They usually know as much about the living as the dead.
Something for you?
Could be. I'm looking for someone.
Bounty hunter?
No, my name's Slade from Denver. I'm a detective. Looking for a man named Newton. L.B. Newton.
Clint, it's lunchtime. I'll take care of this gentleman.
Yes.
Now, what was it, sir?
As I said, I'm looking for a man named Newton, L.B. Newton.
Lots of folks are.
Let's put it this way, mister. For every dime these people around here kick into the syndicate, it's so much more money that they can't spend with you.
I never figured it that way. Now, I don't know this Newton, but there's a $5,000 reward on his head. Now, if I knew him, I'd have long since collected, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry I wasted your time.
No waste. You gave me an idea.
Oh?
This Newton deal, it won't pan out for you. But as long as you're here, maybe I can throw you a little business.
Like what?
Like Donna Juanita Capistrano.
Who?
She's real Spanish nobility. I'm just a storekeeper, but we were friends. Good friends. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
She's a high-class woman. We were talking real serious. We were talking matrimony.
So, marry her.
No, the deal's off. And I'd like to know why.
I'm sorry, mister, but that's not in my line.
For 500?
I just changed my line.
Donna Juanita's off me because she's changed her mind. I'll be a dead game sport and forget about her. But I have a hunch it's someone else.
Like who?
That's where you come in. If it's another man, I'll know what to do.
Really?
No one takes anything away from Ed Raff. No one.
Take it easy, mister. A whole day's gone and nothing to show for it. I've got one answer, though. Mario Gallegos. But if I turn him in, Raff will bury me in a $20 special. What riles me is the mysterious Mr. L.B. Newton. Maybe Donna Juanita's a champion liar and there is no L.B. Newton. Maybe he's someone she just dreamed up. Say, that makes sense. She's sharp, sly, and there's only one thing on her pretty mind. Money. It's open. Come in. Well?
I came here to apologize, senor.
Sit down, Mario.
I think it is better the marshal not know we are already acquainted.
Oh? What about Mr. Raff?
Well, things that are simple can be most complicated through ignorance.
Skip the philosophy, amigo. If Donna keeps burning the candle at both ends, you're gonna wake up dead.
Senor Raff?
That's right. He won't even charge you a nickel for the funeral.
You do not understand, senor. Doña Juanita is not to me what you think. She is my cousin. She is the only family I have.
Oh? You're mighty chummy for cousins, I'd say.
I am here only to help her.
Why'd she suddenly give old Raff the brush off?
Because she suspects him of being on the side of the landowners. There is an old Spanish saying, he who is a friend of my enemy is also my enemy.
Yeah, the Apaches would agree with you. Where can I find Donna Juanita now?
She is resting before the meeting.
What meeting?
Of the shareholders. Money is running low because there is fear. Others have been murdered besides Toño. And some of our friends are chicken-hearted, but not Doña Juanita, I assure you.
No, not as long as there's a dollar in it.
You misunderstand everything, senor.
Where can I find her?
She's at the big house near the east end of town. The meeting is for 9 o'clock.
I'll be there. Adios, amigo.
¿Quién?
Slade, Juanita.
¿Pase?
Donna Juanita?
Sí.
I thought I'd stop by a little before the meeting. Thought we might have a little talk.
That would be very nice, senor. What would we talk about?
Well, I thought for one thing we might talk about the land grant.
Senor, this land we call New Mexico. It is American, yes?
Yes?
It is ruled by your laws, your American laws, enforced by the American court and the American soldiers. My people, the Mexican people of New Mexico, we are American citizens, but we are foreigners. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, I understand, senorita. But you must understand that I don't make the rules. As a matter of fact, I find it kind of hard remembering them when I look at you.
You find me attractive?
I understand now why Raff lost his head.
Do not speak of him. I no longer care what he thinks. You had something to say to me?
As a matter of fact, I did. It was something about land grants or something, but... well, right now I've completely forgotten.
We will listen, Doña Juanita, but we have listened many times before. We have heard you ask us for money, always more money, and we have given the money. But we are poor people. A peso sometimes is the difference to us of whether we eat or go hungry.
I am your friend. I want to help you. I am one of you. I can almost promise you that the shares you buy tonight will pay for the last of the legal papers. The lawyers must be paid for their work. The courts demand their fees. It is not easy, and it is not cheap. But we cannot give up the fight now that we have almost won it. Buy tonight the shares that will make you wealthy tomorrow when my lands are restored. I promise you will all be richer than you ever dreamed.
All of this sounds very good, but we have heard it before. And it puts no beans in the pot. Doña Juanita, we demand proof that this money goes only to pay the lawyers and the court.
You ask for proof, Pedro. You doubt the word of Doña Juanita Capistrano.
No, you, Doña Juanita, but there are others, the syndicate. It is said that Antonio Lopez was shot through the head because of what he learned.
Let him go, amigos. He has the right to ask questions.
Your friends are playing kind of rough.
He's a troublemaker, this Pedro. Always with a loud talk.
Everybody has a right to speak his mind, especially since he's paid his money.
This is not your business, senor. You are an outsider.
Take your hand off my arm.
We do not want trouble. If you'll be quiet, I think we can handle the whole thing ourselves.
I'll be quiet as long as I don't get pushed.
Pardon, senor. We will not push.
Amigos, who will buy the first 5 shares? Who will buy the next 5 shares?
Ah, you getting anywhere, Slade?
I'm like a cat at a rat hole, Raph. I've got patience.
$545, amigos.
Not a bad hole, Donna. Who gets it?
I have told you, L.B. Newton.
Fine, let's give it to him.
You are trying to trap me, no? I mailed the money to him, general delivery in Mendoza. He sends back a receipt. It is all very businesslike.
Yeah?
If you will excuse me, Doña Juanita. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches, Mario. Supposing I mail it to him.
What are you trying to tell me?
Well, you still want to find out who L.B. Newton is, don't you?
That is why I sent for you.
And let me mail it.
All right.
Remember this, Donna. No man stays hidden long if you know how to look for him. I promise you by tomorrow you'll know who L.B. Newton is.
Mario!
Senor Slade, here!
Stay where you are.
What is it?
Shut right between the eyes. Just like Antonio Lopez.
Like all the others, the killer moves fast to silence those who oppose him.
See that? You promised to pay Newton $5,000. It's hard to collect from a dead man. Cheese is the best bait for hungry rats. But if you want to catch a greedy man, you use money. And I've got it. The money for L.B. Newton. I'm on my way to Mendoza to drop it off at the post office. Someone will pick it up. It was almost noon and no one had come for the package. Then I saw him. I thought he looked familiar and then I recognized him. It didn't make sense. The clerk at the general store. All right, hold it, mister. Let's have that package.
All right, mister, it's your last chance. Who's Newton? Come on, talk. Who is he?
Senor Slade,
You surprised?
come in.
Thank you.
Why are you here?
Now, I might ask you that, Donna.
Well, You did not mail the package.
Yes, I mailed it. I got some answers, too. I know all about your L.B. Newton. I rode over to Mendoza, and there was Clint, just picking it up. But he never quite made it. Hold it right there, Slade. Drop your gun. Now, hand over that package.
It is you. You are L.B. Newton.
Who did you think it was? Takes money to keep you in pretty clothes, Donna. You're like a leech. You can spend it faster than I can steal it.
Well, you hired me, Donna, and I delivered him. What do you say now? You see, she wasn't satisfied with just the money you gave her. She wanted to take over. She and her cousin.
Cousin?
That's right, Mario.
Cousin him?
Throw down your gun, senor.
Mario!
Right between the eyes. Well, what did it buy you, Donna, Juanita? Well, that wrapped it up. The marshal said there was nothing he could do about Donna Juanita. She'd broken no law. She merely tried to double-cross a crook. You can bet I won't lose any sleep over her. She'll make out.
Really hope you enjoyed the Shotgun Slade Western television show. Brought to you here on the internet by Wild West Toys, ToyGunTown.com website, and by Westerns on the web. Come on by and see us. Shop with us at Toy Gun Town, but come on by and see us at WesternsOnTheWeb.com. Hundreds of free Western television shows and movies. I'm Bob Terry. We hope to see you again on Down the Trail. Y'all have a great day.